Hi, this is Dominic Keating. I played Lieutenant Malcolm Reed on Enterprise, as you probably know, and you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast. Enjoy.
And welcome. You are listening to the NX 7062 podcast from what has turned into very frigid New Jersey. We were like 60s and 70s last week, and now it's like in the 20s. I think I mentioned this before, the damn window in my office doesn't close all the way. My dad and brother-in-law worked on it, so there you go. Hello, War Dog. Hello, Robert. Hello, Lasso. I always love you guys. You're sitting here early, and I absolutely love it. And thank you so much for joining me. As always, with my little live show, I am Stephanie K, your host, just like it says down in that corner. I feel like the scarecrow. That corner. Hey, Travis. So I wanted to address something really quickly before we even got into Picard and Shuttlepod show and you know, and it doesn't necessarily play into what the topic of the show is tonight, but it definitely goes towards the not everybody in the Star Trek community is a decent person, even though we'd all like to think that because we all love Star Trek and it's such an amazing, positive thing that everybody else who loves Star Trek is also going to feel that way. Not the case. So just a couple hours ago, Lambda Quadrant, we all know Lambda Quadrant, because I love Lambda Quadrant. I work with Lambda Quadrant. They're the reason I'm going to Chicago is Lambda Quadrant. And one of the big reasons that we're all going to Chicago is because we are working with the most amazing drag queen ever, Jackie Cox. She is incredible. She is a huge Star Trek fan. I have known her for years. She is a beautiful soul inside and out. And yes, Podcat's here with me as always. I hope he doesn't tip this NX 7062 over. But NX01. I'm thinking of my own podcast and then NX01. But Jackie's amazing, and we are working with her. Randy, who you all have met from his appearances here, worked so hard to work everything out with Reed Pop and get approval from the gods at CBS to have Jackie Cox come and perform her amazing Star Trek drag show. She is an incredible Deanna Troi. She has met Marina Sirtis as Deanna Troi, and Marina was blown away. Jackie's amazing. We are producing her show. We are the reason she's going to be in Chicago. She will be signing throughout the weekend at our booth, scheduled to be determined, because she's got the drag show, which is going to be Saturday night at 6:15 for anybody that's attending Star Trek Mission Chicago. 6:15 Saturday night, Jackie Cox and her drag show. That's when it's going to be happening. Between rehearsals and everything else, she's going to be with us signing at our table when time allows. But there is another group who has implied on Facebook that they are working with Jackie, or that she's they're the reason that she's going to be there. And it is patently, Travis says hi, Podcat. It is patently untrue. The only reason that Jackie's going to be there is because Randy Frank busted his butt between working with Jackie's team and Reed Pop and CBS. That is why Jackie Cox is going to be doing her incredible drag at Chicago, and seriously, for absolutely no other reason. And like I said, it happened right before I jumped on the air. This kind of shit hit the fan on Facebook, and I felt the need not only to protect my crew at Lambda Quadrant, like I said, because we work so hard, but also to protect the truth, because I mean, that's the problem with the internet. The challenge is that Reed Pop didn't mention us in this initial post, which is fine, but now because our name's not attached to the post, this other person can hint. And trust me, I took 2 semesters of comm law, but right up to that line of what he can and can't say. So it's implied but not strictly said. And like I said, I hate starting the show on such a downer, but I just felt like for the first couple of minutes of the show, it needed to be said that Lambda Quadrant basically presents the one and only Jackie Cox in Chicago. Showtime 6:15, and like I said, just come find us at our table. And as soon as I have a booth number, I'll let you guys know. But come find us because hey, Blue, come find us because when she's not rehearsing or doing the show, hopefully she will be sitting at our table. So enough said about that. I don't know anybody out there that's going to Chicago that I see in the chats, but hopefully whoever's going to be watching this, I am going to be there with Lambda Quadrant. Please come say hi. Say hi to and meet the Lambda Quadrant crew. If you're one of my listeners, I would obviously love to meet you face to face too. I think Robert is the only one that I've met. No, Robert and Domestic. Robert and Domestic are the two listeners that I've actually met in person. So I'd love to add more to that list. So who watched Picard? Hashtag spoiler alert, because I actually just watched it last night because I was busy this weekend. I was actually out of town for the weekend. So sorry. I was out of town for the weekend and I needed to wait until I got home. So Picard, oh my gosh. Honestly, I was kind of glad for the spoilers that I saw because the spoilers that I saw were just the ones about the Easter eggs that were dropped, and I would have missed the 21st Street mission when Guinan and Picard go downtown, so she can kind of show him the reality of LA and the world. And you see that little sign, 21st Street missions, handing out water bottles. That was the mission that Edith Keeler ran in City on the Edge of Forever. So that was what I would have missed if a friend hadn't told me. And I was kind of glad that somebody said that Kirk Thatcher was reprising his annoying bus guy role. But you really didn't need to know that he was reprising the role from Star Trek 4 because he was playing the same damn song how many years later? Because he just loved that song. Yep, they were dropping off the food from 10 Forward. That's right, I forgot about that. But yeah, so it was so that was really great. That when she told him to turn it down, and he kind of went, "Oh yeah, maybe I should turn it down this time." Although 7 of 9, yes, punk rock on the bus. Although 7 of 9 probably would have done, and he's right, 7 of 9 probably would have done worse to him than a Vulcan nerve pinch. And the Roy Kirk thing, which I saw I should look out for, and I did, and it was actually I realize now what I was thinking of was there was some sort of something in a Riff Tracks movie that said Roy Kirk on it or something along those lines, and the Riff Track guys made a Star Trek comment, but in Star Trek lore, this is the guy that created Nomad. See, I don't like the Changeling. I hated the Changeling. I thought it was such a lame episode of TOS, but Roy Kirk was the creator of Nomad, who we all know was that annoying robot from the Changeling. Let's see what else we have. This is the other thing. Remember how Alice called Picard Dixon Hill when he got very investigative? She called him Dixon Hill. Well, I thought that was it. I thought that was the only Easter. Ah, ha, 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 Dixon Hill. We all get it. Oh, look at this. How awesome is that? I hope I Hate You is on the soundtrack. That would be awesome. A new verse of the song. This one said, I still hate you 35 years later. There you go. It was so great. But it turns out that there's like a Dixon Hill 12 Monkeys tie-in. Is it Dixon Hill? Yeah. Dixon Hill 12 Monkeys tie-in that has to do with the book that the girl was reading outside of Roy Kirk, the one that Q was kind of talking to and then realized he couldn't do anything. Go to Den of Geek. I just didn't want to sit and read the whole thing and spoil the spoilers, but Den of Geek had this whole explanation of all the Easter eggs. I just don't want to take up the entire show talking about them, but those were the big ones. I think I hit them all. The one thing that I would have loved, and you guys are actually not going to believe me when I say this. The one thing I would have loved is at some point when Seven of Nine was driving the police car, she made some sort of Tom Paris reference, because if I remember correctly, he was into cars. Didn't he build one on the holodeck or something at some point, or he talked about building cars when he was home? But he actually knew about cars. That would have been the perfect place. And the only time I would have accepted some sort of Voyager tie-in would have been if she made some mention about the fact that she actually understands driving thanks to Tom Paris. But didn't happen. That I think is totally missed. Let's see. Quinn was Uncle Dale, the man who can write. He also appeared in 12 Monkeys as Dale, and under another show as Dale. He calls it the Daleverse. Oh, that is so awesome. I actually never saw 12 Monkeys, so that right over my head. Let's see. What else? Rios reciting the beginning of TOS, leaving out like Space the Final Frontier. I thought that was great. I'm really looking forward to seeing where Alice and the Borg Queen go, because obviously they are completely intertwined, probably more so obviously than Picard imagined when he separated them. But I mean, what do you expect? He's been there. He's been part of the hive mind, and even after they removed everything, if everybody remembers First Contact, even after, he was rehabilitated and I guess he was like the first XB ever, he could still hear their song. He heard their voices in First Contact. So I can't even imagine what a direct link like that to the Queen, especially when she's all by herself, is going to do to Alice. The other thing I wanted to say is that I felt like the scene with Q at the end felt like the X-Men 3 post-credit scene. See, look, now Lasso can pay attention because he's going to understand what I'm talking about. There's a post-credit scene after the third X-Men, where we all know Magneto lost his powers during the movie. And then in that post-credit scene, you saw him kind of playing chess and kind of went like this, and he got the one chess piece to shake a little bit. With Q going like this and nothing's happening, I kind of flashed, especially since the way they set it up, like you didn't think there was going to be any more, and then there was this one extra scene. All of that I felt like was very reminiscent of that last scene in X-Men. So that's what I have to say about Picard. Now, what do I have to say about Shuttlepod Show? And again, I really do like to try and stay away from too many spoilers. But I will say that it was probably, this is the one that made me laugh out loud the most. The guest was Julianne Christie, who played Elan, the alien that knocked up Trip. And the one theme that kept going through there was they have never seen her face until today. 20 odd years later, and they only ever saw her after her makeup. Obviously, they're not going to be wandering around the set at 3 or 4 in the morning when all they have to do is show up, and get a light powder and then get on set. So they're not showing up at 3, 4 in the morning. What was up with Picard's mother being dragged into the dark during the flashback? I'm worried Picard's mother's going to wind up the Borg Queen. That's an interesting theory. Don't know how to answer that one, Blue. Although, well, we can argue that nobody knew about the Borg, but we all know First Contact changed that, because then you had the Enterprise episode, Regeneration. So I guess there really isn't much to. There isn't anything that would preclude that Borg that the science crew found at the pole was the only Borg left on Earth after everything blew up. So I guess that is entirely possible. Hmm? Excellent point, Blue. Now that I'm thinking about it, and that would kind of make it would work like it was a First Contact Enterprise tie-in, like to prove that this is that First Contact is, really does play back into Trek now. It played into Enterprise, and now it can play into Picard all these years later, because that Borg was buried in the ice for however long. So that's entirely possible. So back to Shuttlepod Show. So the one thing I think that really cracked me up is that Dominic Keating now knows what a meet cute is, because he was talking about how Alon and Trip were a meet cute before she knocked him up. And listening to him explain that is worth the price of admission. Turns out that Julianne Christie also was in another episode, was in Voyager as Neelix's love interest. So, that was kind of fun, and that's definitely something that they revisit. The other thing I love is listening to Dominic recap episodes, because he had literally just watched Unexpected. So listening to him get all excited about shows, and listening to him recap and know what's going on. The other show that he watched, and I can't wait to talk to him about this if I get the chance, in Chicago, he watched 2 Days and 2 Nights, which is one of my favorite episodes, because they were one of the trivia questions. They were playing trivia, and one of the trivia questions related back to 2 Days and 2 Nights. So he's like, I watched this one too. He's just cruising along. But that was such a great show. Let's see, Blue. Very much love watching Dom. I very much love Dom is watching the show and knows things about Trek. Yeah, exactly. Finally, the very first Vegas that I went to. Tell you a story, because I might bring this up to them when I see them. If I have a chance. I am working, but I will always make time for Connor and Dominic. Spoilers! I'm trying not to spoil anything. You guys are all gonna have to watch to find out there is trivia, and they technically have a winner. But yeah, so go watch, because it's really funny. It's really funny this week. But I remember my first Star Trek convention, and Connor was talking to these two to a father and son, and they were talking to him about this episode where he jumped out of a tree. And of course, we're at that point, it was maybe 15 years. It was 2017. So, 15 odd years, and Connor's like, I don't remember. Are you sure it wasn't Dominic? I don't know. And it's because he hasn't watched it. But now, when fans come up to them, it's going to be a little bit different, because there's a chance they're going to know of once they speak. And I really wish I would have thought of this in the moment, because I was actually waiting to ask Connor about something else. So I had my own question in my head. But the episode that the guy was talking about was Precious Cargo. It's the only one where he jumped out of a tree. And I absolutely cannot stand that episode. I think Padme Lakshmi, who I liked because I've seen her in Top Chef, and she's great, and I love listening to her in Top Chef. Not that great of an actor. I mean, she had the look that I'm sure that they were obviously looking for, but it was just so bad. Her acting was just so bad. So it is, and I actually have another reason for calling it Precious Cargo besides her, but I'll keep that to myself. I think I have one more note. Oh yeah. The other really cool fun thing that they talked about was Connor's appearance in American Made. For those of you that have not seen it, it is a Tom Cruise movie. It is about the Iran-Contra affair back in the 80s, which I think this is the first time I've ever gone to see like a historical movie based on real events where I'm like, oh my God, I was actually alive when all this happened. So it was really interesting let's see, I was amazed hearing the personal stories, how Julianne Christie came to choose to have a child. Yep. That was also, yeah, me too. She was very candid. That's what I loved about her. Julianne was very candid. So there was a lot of fun. Like I said, I think this is the first, I mean, I've chuckled at all of them, but this is the first one I really laughed out loud. Shoot, train of thought. Okay, American Made. So again, 2017, I had found out that Connor was doing the movie, but it hadn't been released yet. And I found out that Connor was playing George W. Bush. So I asked him at his table if he would give a little, taste of his George W. Bush. And he said, no. It's like, okay. He said, go watch the movie. And I said, all right. And then he proceeded to tell me, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to be in it because it was a cute moment in the movie. My guess is it was a fictionalized moment in time, maybe, or maybe, kind of tweaked a little bit because it was funny. It was meant to be funny. So this could have been one of those little, moments. But as he said, it didn't drive the story. And when scenes like that, they're just in there for amusement or just a little, just a little side thing. They don't make it. If they don't drive the story, there's a chance that they're going to end up on the cutting room floor. So he said I could end up on the cutting room floor. Doesn't my scene doesn't drive the movie? And I said, well, then I said, so you just told me to go see you do the movie, spend $10, and then you might not be in it. And he promised me, he said, if I'm not in it next year, come and I will do my George Bush for you. He is in it. His scene was smaller, it was shorter, but he's definitely in it. The movie itself is really great. I learned a lot, because back when it was actually in the news, I was I admit, kind of too young to care. Like it was on the peripheral of what was going on in my life. So I kind of knew about it, but didn't really delve in. So this was really, really, really interesting. And I highly recommend it. It's floating around streaming somewhere. Um, so, so I absolutely 100% highly recommend that you go see American Made. You have to sit through the entire freaking movie. It's almost over by the time Connor shows up, but it's worth the wait. And his scene is really good. Or I'm sure if you don't feel like watching the movie, Connor Trinneer, George W. Bush, Connor Trinneer, American Made, I'm sure somebody's put just that scene up on YouTube. I'd love to see the whole thing if maybe somebody found that lying around on a cutting room floor, but anyway. Oh, who else is joining us? What up, Tony Fett? Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here. So let's see. So we have to bid adieu to Connor and Dominic and Shuttlepod Show. And if you're not already following it and liking it, please, 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 please give it a follow, give it a like. It is worth it. They drop every Sunday. They still haven't done anything steady. They still haven't, as far as I know, done a live premiere so that people can chat, but definitely worth it. Too Much runs up on the cutting room floor. We had scenes of the XB setting up life on the Android planet with crazy Alshira lady after the cute. Yeah, it really does. Let me put it to you this way. When Connor and I were talking about getting cut, his scene got shortened. Dominic got completely cut out of Almost Famous. He was the band manager for one of the other bands in that movie. So I mean, that's the thing. If it was just an auxiliary scene, was taking up too much time. So yep, so that's that. Sorry, got a little distracted. You know me, my train derails often, and it's all about getting it back on the track. Yeah. So let's talk about the topic of the evening, and I thank all y'all for joining me on an evening when it's not going to be so much fun, but it's something that Blue alluded to a couple weeks ago, and then, like I said, last week, somebody that I know who's not quite a fan of Star Trek, and at this point may never be. And it's all thanks to gatekeepers and these rude ass fucks who are out there who think for some reason that Star Trek is their personal domain or their oh, Blue, like I said, and you know what? I need to find out if Lambda Quadrant has the panel that we did on gatekeepers. As far as I know right now, it's mixed up. Not mixed up, I shouldn't say mixed up, but if you go to our YouTube channel, all of our holocons are kind of there in blocks. because we did them in, 6-hour blocks or whatever, however long they were. So I'm going to have to see if I can get just the footage of that panel. But, and especially I think now, a lot of people have talked, and again, I am not a doctor, I am not a psychiatrist, and my opinions are my own and not based on any sort of medical advice or psychiatry or anything, just, my own gut. I think it's gotten worse over the last couple of years, and I think the pandemic is what has kind of pushed everything like that out of the woodwork, because gatekeepers were always around, but now everybody, I think, is clinging, and this is part of it, if I remember correctly. Everybody wants to cling to something that they love, especially when times are hard. You want to cling to that perfect moment in Star Trek, that one moment that means everything to you. Listen, amok time, parted from me and never parted, never and always touching and touched, we meet. That has to be one of my favorite all-time lines from every TV show, every Star Trek. That doesn't make TOS my favorite. That makes Amok Time my favorite TOS. Then along comes TNG, and it's very different. And then I start with, oh my God, Mzadi is like the best word in the world, and I have an Mzadi, and I love the word Mzadi. And I will say, and on Beta Zeds, I thought Beta Zeds were incredible. And then, you move on to Deep Space Nine, and it's darker, and it's different. And so many people had a problem with Star Trek. The word Trek is in the title, and you guys are on a space station standing still. And then you get the Dominion War, which took however many seasons, and it was dark and mean and not very hopeful and bright the same way that the first two were. Then you get Voyager, which is a little bit different. At least you're back to trekking. You get Enterprise, and people hated it. So, but I mean, for me, I just moved from one to the other, and I didn't have a problem because I just wanted more. I was happy with more. You're giving me Star Trek. And then, of course, you find your favorites or whatever. But I never hated, I would tease, but I've never hated on anybody who doesn't like Enterprise, or who like TNG more. But those 5 shows kind of, or you had TOS, and then you had the other 4 that kind of, everything kind of strung together and kind of felt as a unit. And then we have to wait for however long, and then we get Discovery, and God forbid it be updated for the 21st century. And God forbid there were too many changes. Most people don't like change, but now there's too many changes. And now, if you like disco, you're being disloyal to the original track. Even Picard. People even have problems with Picard, and Picard was part of the original. So it's watched an argument between 2 bands of Trek fans over the past few weeks. I was shocked to see anti-IDC Trekkies. It hurts that now I'm driven to gatekeep them. What do you mean by that you're driven to gatekeep them? I'm curious what you mean by that. See, I love disco too, because it brought Trek back, and that's everything gets lost in Trek. It's like for how many years have people been running around? We had the TNG movies, and then they stopped those. We were like, we want more Trek. Oh my God, we've got the conventions and everything, but we want Trek. We want Trek. And then here you go. Here's new Trek. Well, it fucking sucks, and it's not part of Trek, and I refuse to even accept that it's part of Trek, and it's not Trek. Where's the logic there? Where's your Vulcan logic there? It's because people don't like change. It's because people like what they like. And it's the internet. When I first forayed out into the internet years ago, Yahoo was the thing. Yahoo chats predates all of this. and I would go into a Yahoo chat room, and you could go into a Yahoo chat room and you can chat with a group, and then if somebody in the chat room saw your profile, saw what you were saying, and wanted to talk to you privately, they would send you a private message, and then you had these private messages. And I just remember, if ever I pissed somebody off, and usually I piss them off because I'm like, I'm not taking my clothes off for you, and we're not having sex, like cyber sex. And they would go from being all, oh, you're so pretty and blah, 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 to you're a fucking bitch whore, whatever. And it's like the biggest word that I could come up with for them, and the most accurate word I could come up with for them, and it applies to the trolls that are out there now and the gatekeepers that are out there now, is cowards. Because it is really easy to be brave and to cut people down so that you feel like the big man on campus when you're not looking them in the eye and all you're doing is typing on your keyboard. So that's my problem. I can't be expecting of hateful people. I don't know if I find myself blocking people on social media who claim to be Trekkies and speak properly. That's not gatekeeping. That is absolutely not gatekeeping. You are more than entitled to cut the hateful people, to block the hateful people. People that say shit to you, that's not gatekeeping. That's protecting yourself. That's self-care. And no, gatekeepers are the people that sit on high and say, there's a Facebook group basically saying that the prime timeline, or like original Trek is the only Trek. Prime timeline is the only timeline. I once tried to join a group for one of the Star Trek pages I managed. I tried to join a group. And you know how they ask you all those questions to, kind of make sure you're not a bot, make sure you at least know something about Star Trek. And I answered them, and I said, they asked if you like the J.J. Abrams timeline or something. And I said, yeah, J.J.'s fine. They wrote me back and said, we're not denying you because of the type of group that you are. We're denying you because you guys said you like J.J. Abrams. It's like, you're supposed to be a Star Trek group. It's supposed to be about IDIC. And you're blocking me because I have an opinion contrary to yours about the J.J. Abrams group. Well, you know what? I don't need to be part of your group either. If Disco stayed old Trek, it would have ended like Enterprise, and Enterprise was awesome. Yeah, exactly. Disco is exactly what Star Trek needs to be for the 21st century. But it's too much. But it's too much change. It's too much, and people don't like change. I blocked Disco for a while because I was hung up on the Spock has a sister aspect. Went ahead and got past that and haven't looked back since. There you go. And you know what? Honestly, War Dog, if you never got past it, that's fine. If you're like, I can't do this because I don't want to hear about this. This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm done. That's fine. And I don't have a problem with people that don't like disco. I have a problem with people that don't like disco that first of all call it STD, which is just ridiculous and disgusting and insulting. And then they go around and yell at everybody and tell everybody that does like it that they're terrible human beings, and then they're not loyal to Trek because you, for some reason, have decided that you are the harbinger of all good things Trek, and it's your decision to tell me what kind of Trek that I like. And you know what? You can turn around and try the IDIC argument on them. But if you believe in IDIC, but they don't get that. They don't think that way. So if there are certain people I'm not fond of, I try to find aspects within that episode that I do like. I'll find a B story or background character, something to love about it, anything. See, and again, if that's awesome. Let's see. I just do face hugger. Yep. I just don't do face hugger. It does to a point, but they're all over, not just Facebook. JJ movie started disco. Not sure I agree with that. But again, I'm not going to fault you for having an opinion. And Faith is here, and no apologies for being late. Lasso's always late, except tonight, so that's totally fine. Let's see. Lasso. In the comic community, we have a saying, collect your way, which means whatever you like, however you buy, it's not wrong. Exactly. Exactly. And like I said, I mean, I don't ever feel guilty for hating hating something in Star Trek. Like my buddy Nikki Repass is gonna love me. You are allowed to hate Dr. Pulaski. You are allowed to pretend that the entire second season of Star Trek doesn't exist, which she does because she hates Dr. Pulaski. I do too. I think Diana Muldaur was terrible. I am not a fan of anything she has ever done Trek related. Nothing that she has done Trek related, especially since she tried to kill Spock. But I'm not going to tell you not to watch it, and I'm not going to say that you're not a true fan of everything Trek. Just because you like Pulaski and I don't. It's okay. You don't have to like Pulaski. Or you can like Pulaski. I don't like Pulaski. You can like Pulaski. I liked Elementary Dear Data. Like, I liked individual episodes of the second season, but if she's in it, it just makes my skin crawl. But I'm not going to tell you not to like it. And that's where we differ from the gatekeepers, from the people that think that for whatever godforsaken reason, they have inherited the right to sit down and tell us what Trek is and what isn't. I have spoken to Rod Roddenberry when I have a picture somewhere. I haven't posted my pictures from Vegas. I have been so bad about posting albums and stuff. But the one thing I wanted to know from Rod, and he's the only person whose opinion matters when it comes to stuff like this, I looked him right in the eye and I said, Rod, I said, the Orville, love letter to your dad? And he said, absolutely. And if I wanted to ask him about something else Star Trek based and he wanted to give me his opinion, I would have respected his opinion a whole freaking hell of a lot more than pretty much anybody that's just hanging out on the internet. JJ movie took Trek to more action. Well, that's true. But see, that's the thing. And you don't have to like it completely changed the entire timeline. You know what I hated about the JJ movies? They basically made Amok Time not exist. They destroyed Vulcan before Spock had a chance to do the Pung Far thing with T'Pring. So yeah, I had a problem with the JJ movies, but I liked it. And it has brought in more fans. Hopefully fans that don't just, but see, and this is the other thing, okay? And this is kind of where I was going with this whole thing. The J.J. Abrams movies brought in fans who liked them for what they were, for the action-packed, space adventure-y kind of thing that they were. And if you want to exist in a vacuum of just those 3 movies, soon to be 4, then that's fine. But if it ignited in you something that makes you want to go back and look at TOS or look at TNG or just skip TOS and just do like TNG forward, if it makes you do that, and then you start to venture out into the internet and try and find groups, and God forbid you tell them you like the J.J. Abrams movies and TNG, there's a really good chance, like my friend who was basically like, fuck Star Trek at this point. I don't know if they've changed their mind because it was just a really, it was a really bad day for them as far as Star Trek was going. A lot of shit was kind of coming at them at once. But I mean, if you sit there and you tell somebody that you like the J.J. Abrams movies and you want to know more about Trek, and you're asking a Star Trek fan, their response to you cannot be fuck J.J. Abrams and fuck you. It needs to be, oh, that's great. Yeah, JJ, okay. I'm not a fan of those movies, or we don't consider them, whatever. Just, oh, I would watch TNG, or I would watch these episodes of TOS. That's community. The problem is that there are so many negative people out there that will attack you because You like something that they don't, and because they don't think of it as real Star Trek. And that's what's really sad. And honestly, I don't think that, I mean, there's no way to deal with them. Like I said, there's no logic. If they call themselves Star Trek fans and they act this way, and the main tenet of Star Trek is IDIC, and that logic hasn't sunk in, you wasting your breath and trying to explain it to them, it does nothing except burn your energy. So Cerulean Blues, I'm blocking you, I'm not engaging with you, is really the only way to stay sane. And trust me, I have been to the point where I've wanted to say something, and then I just realized all I'm doing is feeding them, and I'm going into this spiral. It is very rare, no matter how right you are or how well worded your argument. And trust me, like I said, I've been doing this internet thing for a very long time, and I have tried both ways. I have tried righteous indignation, I have tried anger when people aren't listening, and I have tried to be zen and explain. None of it works. It really does. That's true, but it's an alternate timeline, so it doesn't exist in the TV timeline. That's how I understand it. Picard, yeah, except Picard's been talking about the destruction of Romulus. They haven't really gone there, but Picard, they talk about the destruction of Romulus. So there are people. It was in the short track. It was in the short track. It was in that one little short track, Children of Mars, and then I think it was alluded to in season 1 of Picard. See, getting over my hang up, haven't missed an episode. Enjoyed the Kelvin timeline, especially got Nimoy back for a short while. Yeah, see, exactly. And like I said, you don't have to. You don't have to love all of Star Trek. You just don't. There's too much of it. There's too much of it that I think anybody that can sit down and say that they love every single episode of every single thing, I find that very hard to believe. Like Blue said, Blue wants to find something redeeming to them in an episode, and I admire that, because I'm not even going to go that far for the most part. If I don't like something, I don't like something. Hello, Jean. Glad to see you. Let's see. All Trek is Trek. If you don't like a series, fine, keep it to exactly. And that's, the internet has literally made that impossible for some people. I don't like Trek. I don't like Discovery. So now I'm going to make a Facebook group about hating Discovery, because it's important that the world know, and that I find like people. And you know what? Even that, I don't have a problem with. Even that. I don't like Discovery. I think Discovery is the worst thing that could have ever possibly happened to Star Trek. And I'm going to go make a Facebook group about it, because I want to find like-minded people that hate Discovery. That's kind of fine too. Because if you make yourself a little private little group on Facebook, and you wanna well, just lost my train of thought again. And you want to have a private Facebook group so you guys can bitch and moan about Discovery on your own, awesome sauce. Keep it in the group. You don't need to go around and start terrorizing and victimizing because it's bullying. You don't need to go around cyber bullying people because they like Discovery. If you want to go bitch with your friends, go bitch with your friends in your private Facebook group. That's fine. Yeah, but there's just, I swear to God there was something that had to do with like the destruction of Romulus kind of kicked off. Yeah, but the destruction of Romulus kind of kicked off the Kelvin timeline, because that's when Spock tried to save it. So I don't know. Oh, thank you, Mohammed. Thank you for coming out. Yeah, I just rediscovered this shirt. It's my Mirror Universe Spock shirt. What does it say? And it says there are always alternatives. Haha, there are always alternatives. But I do like a good Mirror Universe. I do like a good mirror universe Spock. So Mohammed, thank you so much. I'm sure you've been around the community enough to know about all the gatekeepers and the issues, because that's what we're talking about tonight. We're kind of just having a little bitch session about the gatekeepers, and that's okay. The first couple of episodes of Picard season 1 were all interwoven with the destruction of Romulus. That's why Picard was retired. It's why Raffi was smoking snakeweed. Yeah, exactly. And I just think the fact that they touched on that so heavily had just was, I think, in a way, they're trying to legitimize the alternate timeline. Yeah, gatekeepers suck. Yes, they do. And the problem is you never know where they're going to show. Let people enjoy things. I mean, honestly, if it were that simple, I know, Mohammed, that you like to hang out quietly while you're doing your evening hang. Oh my God, now I can't remember what the name of the thing is. The inversion table. So I don't know how much you heard, but yeah, that's basically the theme, is let people enjoy things. But also, by the same token, as badly as we want to invite them in and try and change them, because we think that, oh, you stopped in to hang out with us before you hung upside down. That's awesome. Thank you, Mohammed. See you in a couple weeks. Less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks till Chicago. So excited. I'm so excited for like so many reasons. 2 of them are behind me. No, one of them. Shit, that's Archer. I keep forgetting that's Archer getting off them. Nope, there he is. 2. Oh. There he is. There he is. Mayweather's at the helm. And Chip's hanging out in engineering. Let's see. He did not reach Romulus in time, ran into Nero, and released the red matter in an attempt to get away from him. So I just feel like I said, you don't have to like everything. Why do people feel the need to ruin it for everybody else? And if there is anything that you take away from our little discussion tonight, besides Jackie Cox is going to be in Chicago courtesy of Lambda Project, besides Shuttle Pod is amazing and everybody should watch it. See, that I'll tell you, that is my personal opinion. Oh, question before we shut. I have a question. Is it gatekeeping to alert the fandom to the actions of some people if their actions go against IDIC and Trek morals? I would say, without anything else to go on, that it's not gatekeeping per se if you think somebody is doing something wrong, to just kind of want to send out an alert, tag, or whatever. But it's dangerous because of reprisals, because before you do something like that, first of all, morality. I mean, IDIC is infinite diversity and infinite combinations. I mean, that's kind of cut and dry. Morality is fluid. Morality on a lot of things is a gray area, and it's opinion. I've always lived my life by situational ethics, so it just depends on the situation I'm in, depends on how I act, and I could be faced with similar situations at 2 different points and do 2 different things. And Blue, I admire the fact that you want to protect people and that you want to see the best in people. You want to see the best in every episode of Star Trek. You want to see the best in people. I admire that so much. But when you ask me a question like that, I feel like you're asking to do something that has more potential to hurt you. Because when you say alert the fandom, you're going to go out and kind of be like Paul Revere on the horse, the British are coming, the British are coming, the British are coming. But I mean, something like that. I mean, literally short of, oh my God, this person is breaking the law and I need to tell somebody because they're literally, I have like hard evidence they broke into this bank or they stole this car, kind of morale like that. I wouldn't, because especially if you're talking about a famous Trek person, because if there's one thing that I've learned from my associations with other people, my associations with some of the actors and certain things, people tend to turn a blind eye to an actor's foibles, let's just say, missteps, foibles, slips in morality. And if you, again, if you were to say, I know that X person from X show did Y, you're liable to have more people turn on you for saying something about the Trek person of note than you are to have somebody say, oh, thank you for telling me. This is also true. It is impossible to please everybody. It is very easy to piss people off. How does the woman who saved Trek feel about the new Trek? Just wondering. How does the woman who saved Trek feel about new Trek? Missing something in that comment, Travis. If you could, I'm serious. It's, I don't know. It's late. It's, it's getting up on 11 o'clock here. My brain kind of, so sometimes I actually do want to have some coffee before I do this, but then I'm going to be up all night. Speaking of which, I don't know if you guys saw my post, totally random. 911, the mid-season opener of 911 on Fox last week. Connor was in it, doing his bomb squad thing. For anybody that doesn't know, Connor Trinneer has a recurring character on 911 as the head of the bomb squad. This time he got to ride in a car with Angela Bassett, which puts him 1 degree of separation from the entire Marvel universe because she was T'Challa's mom. That's the thing. I think sometimes speaking out can do more harm, but speaking out also can save future harm. Oh, maybe. Is that what you're talking about, Travis? The woman that did the letter writing campaign that got Star Trek an extra season? Wakanda forever! Absolutely. I get interviewed this past weekend and spent a lot of time talking with him. It was so awesome. Where was JG this weekend? What did I miss? And yes, love JG. He is an incredibly amazing person. I don't even know if that person is still alive, to be perfectly honest. If somebody, I mean, I have no idea. I don't know if she's still alive, and if she is, if she has any thoughts. That's a good question, though. JG's amazing. I adore JG to the moon and back. I went to that. I went to that in 2017, I think. That's a fun time. That is a fun time. I'm so glad you got to meet him. Yeah, he was on Virtual TrekCon. That was hysterical. He's always hysterical. Yeah, you guys all need to go watch the Lappies if for nothing else. JG stole the show for his little bit. So Blue, what I would up. There you go. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think she was still with us. I would honestly say in this, like I said, unless you know, or unless you know that X person is about to hurt Y person and you know for a fact, and you want to reach out to Y person individually. But to go out onto the internet and say somebody's being amoral or somebody's doing something and it's so wrong and you all need to know about it, that's dangerous. And the cons outweigh the pros. I don't recommend it unless you have hard, fast proof, and it's 100. Actually, I think it was the science division that Callie and I met back in 2019 in Vegas. They came up with this, but unless you are 11701, that's 1,701%, 1701% sure that it's that terrible and that bad and that people absolutely need to know. And even then, you're taking a risk because it's very true that people don't want to hear the truth. Like I said, especially when it's about an actor. Case in point, I'm going to be completely and totally honest. I absolutely adored Chris Noth ever since I saw him in Sex and the City, which is actually before I saw him in Law and Order. Actually, hey Jamie, I actually backed into Jamie's joining us on Facebook for all of you YouTubers. But anyway, I loved Chris Noth. I was heartbroken when they killed him off of the new Sex and the City, and just like that, let's call it just like that. And then all of this stuff came out about him being a sexual predator. And the first couple of stories came out, and I was looking for excuses. I really was. Well, is this really is this really it? Is this really who? But then another person came forward, and then more people from the set of Sex and the City, the original Sex and the City, came forward. And I mean, it took me a while, like I said, because I absolutely loved him. It took me a while to come to grips with this actor who I had admired, who I actually saw very briefly do a personal appearance once in Jersey, who I took his picture. I'm done with him. I'm done. But it took me longer than it probably should have to come to that realization. And that's just me with him. I didn't go out. I didn't like go out. I actually know somebody that I met through an old Chris Noth message board. She and I are still friends on Facebook. I've only met her in person once. Anyway, but anyway, my point is that if you're gonna do that in the Trek universe, I mean, there's already trolls, there's already gatekeepers, and you're gonna come out and you're gonna want to say something against some actor, like I said, unless you have hard, fast proof. And even then, you're just running the risk of being attacked to the point where you would give up social media. I think anybody would. So we're human and we all make mistakes. So unless they're really, really bad, they should be forgiven. We're not perfect. True. I mean, if we're going back to my Chris Noth example, he's a sexual predator that raped people. So there's no forgiveness in that. But like I said, unless you have hard, fast proof of somebody doing something completely like rape, God forbid, or something like that, then no, I don't agree with going out to the fandom and saying anything. One of the things I struggle with about finding out these people who we love and admire have done bad things is that it taints the work. Yeah, it absolutely taints the work. But I really love that we're reading on this topic. Yeah, it does. It taints the work, and it's hard to separate. It took me a while. I can watch Sex and the City now, because that's the other thing is you can't let what he's done kill my love of the show, because you do kind of have to separate the actor from the action, so to speak. Oh, okay. All right. Well, like I said, I mean, but you can't. Like I said, it is. But forgiveness is important. Forgiveness is absolutely important. But like I said, back to Cerulean's question about whether or not you should go alert the fandom to unless you want to go out and alert the fandom. Um, Mohammed just messaged. I love this. Mohammed just messaged me. He thinks that the Trek person is still alive. Oh, this is so funny. Thanks for the message, Mohammed. He thinks that she's still alive, and that's the link he sent me. There you go. Smallville liked Chloe, but not so much anymore because the actress was running her white slavery ring. The actress, and Magic Glass is going to help me out on this one, but I believe she was part of a cult that was running a white slavery sex ring kind of deal. Yeah, but I mean, I stopped watching Smallville, but if she wouldn't have kept me from watching it or rewatching it if that's what I really wanted to do. And Chris Noth's actions aren't going to take away Sex in the City for me. It just took me a little while to kind of get to that point where I could separate the actor from the actions. But no, Blue to it's taken a long road getting from there to here, but I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it. If it's something, as you said, that's so amoral that it's illegal, don't alert the tribe. Then that's not something to take to the fandom. That's something to take to the authorities, because the other thing I will tell you about is slander and libel. And if you put something out there that is not true, and you put it in type, and you put it on the internet, and it's not true, you could be in trouble. You could and that's not just for actors. Anybody can sue you for defaming their character. So again, that's just not so that's not something I would do. I wouldn't do it from the fact that I would get attacked from the fandom for doing it, for being negative. Ironically, for being negative. I wouldn't do it from the standpoint of it's gonna cause you more harm than do good out there for anybody. And there's literally a legal recourse that people can take if you say something and you treat it as fact. If you say that this person is this or this person is that, and they can turn around and prove that it is not true, then they can sue you. Again, comm law was one of my favorite classes in school. So it's like I said, Blue, I admire you a lot for wanting to protect and wanting to alert and wanting everybody to come under the umbrella of IDIC and to understand its meanings, and to not warp Trek as they have. But as noble as it is, it's not worth it. It's not worth the pain that it will definitely cause you. It's really not. So I would, and again, I've always said this about Facebook, and I don't know if it's on Twitter because I've never needed to use it on Twitter. But blocking comments, hiding things. If I've had friends say things that I can't stand, and for the sake of friendship, I've hidden comments from people that I like. Oh, she's only 88. For some reason, I thought she would have been. That's the thing. Write her a letter. She could be a Luddite. I mean, you can love Star Trek, but at 88, I'm not sure she'd even own a computer. That's fun. I mean, I can go research that and see what's going on. But no, Blue, it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help anybody else. It really is. So yeah, like I said, I find the hide button, the block button, all of that makes your life so much easier. Because I have sat there with my fingers over the keyboard, so tempted and then I will cursor over and hide something or delete something off of my page. Or yeah, I stopped posting to one fan group, to one enterprise page, because I posted something about the podcast and somebody said something really stupid. I'm like, I guess I'm just not going to share shit here anymore, because I don't need my show to get attacked. Fan letter to a fan. I like that idea. All right, guys, we have been talking like this for an hour. So to cleanse your palates and make yourselves happy, I'm going to say it one more time. This week's Shuttle Pod show is probably my favorite so far. Until I get on there to play trivia with them. This one's my favorite so far. I haven't talked to them. It would just be really cool if I could get on there and, I don't know, drop a couple hints while I'm in Chicago. We'll see. Quick update. Next week's show, as far as I know, because I will be saving my packing to the last minute. Anyway, next week's show will be live. The week after is my travel day from Chicago. So it will not be live. I don't know what, if anything. I mean, I'm going to do something. Might just be a quickie hello. Hopefully, thanks, Robert. Hopefully, I will have something and I will plan it out better, and it won't be something that ends up going up the next day because things got screwed up with YouTube. Before I go, real quick, there is a little science fiction convention. It's called Quiet Corner Sci-Fi. It's a Comic-Con. Yeah, they're calling it a Comic-Con experience. It's by Travis. It's very small. It's in Pomfret, Connecticut, just a little bit south of the Massachusetts border. They invited me to go. Unfortunately, traveling at the end of April, it's just not going to work out for me right now, but I promised them I would let you all know about it. If anybody is in the upper Connecticut area, like I said, it is called Quiet Corner Sci-Fi. It is a one-day event. It's on Saturday, April 30th. For just the day. Go hang out and tell them the NX7062 sent you. I was going to go and do a live show, but just not going to work out this time. Hopefully next year. So, and I put their flyer up on my Insta. I am now on Instagram. So the flyer's on Insta and Twitter, I think. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Travis, thank you so much for saying that. I always love feedback. Always love hearing that. Thank you so much. Everybody have a fantastic night. And until I see you all again, remember, live long.
Hey, this is Connor Turner. You've been listening to the NX7062 podcast with Stephanie. Enjoy your evening.